pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Good evening, and welcome to the May 5th, 2025 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA. First, let me introduce the members of the ZBA present here this evening. Myself, Chairman Alan Donnelly. Our Vice Chairman, Mr. Carl Hanger, is absent this evening. Our Secretary, Mr. Elijah Hewlin, should be here any moment. Regular Member Commissioner, Mr. Larry Rushmeyer is here. Alternate Member Commissioner, Mr. Liam Ania is here. Regular Member Commissioner, Mr. Richard Briggs is here. And Alternate Member Commissioner, Mr. Michael Barnes is here. Our excellent zoning enforcement officer, Mr. Fran Lally, is here. And our very wonderful, and I think perfect again, recording secretary, Cassandra Berrien, is here with us this evening. The current agenda can be found here at the table or on the town website under board meetings. When we begin the public hearing, I will call each applicant one at a time. When I call the property address, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us about your appeal in detail. After, the secretary will read into the record any communications we received in favor or opposed to the application. The chair will then entertain questions of clarifications from board members concerning the application. We will then hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the application, followed by those who are opposed. Following each side of the question, the applicant will be allowed to make concluding remarks. After we have gone through all the cases on the agenda tonight, we will close the public portion of this meeting and will deliberate an open executive session. You must have at least 4 affirmative votes to have your appeal granted. The final decision may be in the form of approved as submitted, approved with stipulations, or disapproved. All questions and comments must be directed through the chair. Please be assured that everyone will be given the opportunity to speak. However, the board is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application, and in view of time constraints placed upon us, we ask your indulgence in not reiterating comments previously presented. You're welcome to stay until the end of the meeting or call the land use office in the morning. Thank you. Okay, first thing on the agenda is seating of alternates. Commissioner Barnes, will you please be on Z, let's read them all off. Z-25-8, Z-25-1, Z-25-22, and Z-25-23. Sir,
Yes,
would you also like to be our vice chairman this evening?
I will do that.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Commissioner Ania, would you please be on everything this evening until if the secretary shows up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. Next on the agenda is, let's see, review of the April 7th, 2025 minutes. I'd like to take a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I have very, very little. Any discussion? I think they're perfect again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. View of correspondence, minutes and other boards and commissions. Anybody have anything on that? Zoning and the wetlands planning?
No comments?
No comments?
No.
Okay. Moving on. Our first is our continued public hearing. That is 20A Indian Trail, Z-25-8. Hold on one second. Commissioner Ania, sorry that I forgot to ask you. Would you be our secretary unless you'd like to do it, Commissioner?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Would you like to be our secretary until?
Yes.
Okay, good. Got that? Forgot that. Sorry about that. All right. So first is our continued public hearings, 28 Indian Trail Z-25-8. Mr. Jason Klein of Comedy Law for Matthew and Deborah Wilkoff. Mr. Secretary, I believe that we do have some correspondence on this.
I don't have a printout here.
I have a copy if you don't have it. Want to borrow mine?
Sure.
That's done.
For the postponement?
Yeah.
This is May 1st, 2025, to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Francis W. Lally, Zoning Enforcement Officer, Town of Brookfield. Dear Mr. Lally and members of the Brookfield Zoning Board of Appeals, I am writing to you to confirm that my client, the owners of the property, consent to the continuation and extension of the public hearing regarding Z-25-8 to Monday, June 2nd, 2025. As such, it is my understanding that no testimony or substantive discussion will take place on May 5th, and instead the hearing will be immediately continued to the ZBA's next meeting on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I kindly ask that the ZBA Chair and/or the Zoning Enforcement Officer announce this continuation at your May 5th meeting, and that this announcement include the time and location of the June 2nd meeting. Thank you for your time and attention regarding this matter. Sincerely, Jason A. Klein.
Thank you very much. Mr. Klein, do you have anything to say before I continue?
No, nothing further, just.
All right. I'd like to take a motion, please, to continue Z-25-8 to our next meeting, June 2nd, 2025, 7 PM, this room.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you are continued, sir.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Have a great
you.
evening.
All right. Moving on to our public hearings. Our first public hearing is 28 Wiskier Road. And that is Pamela Drucker of Cohen and Wolf PC for Mr. Dominic Friends. And that's a request for a variance 3.5, 16-foot structure to the left sideline. Could the applicant or proponent of the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record?
Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
start
Chairman.
your appeal in detail, sir.
For the record, Neil Marcus, Cohen Wolf PC, 158 Deer Hill Avenue, Danbury.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals, Mr. Marcus.
Thank you, thank you. It's gonna be hard for me to follow the last attorney. He was so succinct in his comments. He left.
Maybe you should take that as
I'm saying, you guys will be disappointed. I can't be quite that quick, but I will be pretty quick tonight.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. The application that's before you concerns a house. Hopefully, some of you have gotten to see this. I know the chair hopefully was out there to take a look at the proposed addition, which is a small corner in the southwest side of the house. And if you've got the map, you'll see that it's just a little rectangle, and it's got proposed addition with an arrow on it. And that is, as you can see on the surveyor's map, one corner of the existing house is at 36.7 feet from the southerly boundary line. And this would be, if we filled in this little area as a porch, it would be at 34.0, requiring the 16-foot variance. The statement of the hardship is pretty brief, but the property itself consists of actually 1939 vintage residence, which became non-conforming when zoning regulations were adopted after the lot itself had been created. So the current minimum acreage for this is 80,000 square feet in the RE zone, and it should have a 200-foot width. So to start with, if you look along Wiskier on the easterly side of the property, the width is approximately 153 feet. So when you superimpose the R80 zoning on a lot that is already 25% too narrow, it creates a problem on both sides of the property. So it's got a 50-foot setback requirement, and as we say, it's currently 36.7. But if you look on the north side of the property, the house currently is at 46.5 feet from the northerly side yard. And again, that is non-conforming as well. So right away, the homeowner is very restricted in any renovation of the property. This is a very small renovation. The rectangular addition that we're talking about is 16 feet by 14 feet. And as I say, it increases the non-conformity by 2.7 feet on the south side. The lot itself, as I say, it's got the minimum acreage, but it's rectangularly shaped, which is a regular shape for a lot, obviously. But it's very long and narrow. And of course, that is in the shape of the lot, creating the hardship itself. The proposed addition merely squares off the corner of the house. It's compatible with the structures that are in the neighborhood and won't have any impact, we believe, no impact. It's adverse. Interestingly, if you look on the south boundary of the property, south boundary line, you'll see that the neighboring house is actually 1 foot off of that. So, I mean, you've got a lot of non-conformities here. And instead, that the neighboring house is only a foot away, the fact that we're looking to increase the non-conformity from 36.7 to 34 really shouldn't have any impact on the neighbor to the immediate south. So it's a small application, and hopefully you can see fit to granting it. As I say, we don't know of any adverse comments from any of the neighbors. I don't know if we've received any correspondence, but we believe that it will be unobtrusive, and it is merely, as I say, to square off the existing footprint of the house. So that's our application. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Mr. Secretary, do we have any correspondence? I don't believe so, but double check. Any last minute? No, sir, we do not have any correspondence. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's any members that have any questions for the applicant.
Seems to be a shed which straddles the property line. Does that belong to one owner or another, or?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that.
What is the question?
The question is,
Please
whose
state your
shed
name
is
and-
this?
Please state your name and address for the record. Please
Come on
state your
in,
name and
come on
address
up,
for the
come on
record,
up.
sir.
Name the property owner. How do you do that?
Dominic Friends at 28 Wisteria Road.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals, sir.
Thank you. What was the question?
Whose shed?
So there's a shed that straddles the property line.
That is the neighbors, that is over, I believe, a few feet. So they actually built onto my property, and then they built that fence on my property as well. So I only found that out once I got the survey done, which was a few weeks ago. So I had no idea until now.
And by the way,
About surveys.
if we use the fence as the property line, we'd need more of a variance.
Yes.
But the property line is in fact what it's showing. The fence is, as you said, neighbor.
Yeah. They built it a few feet onto my property.
Okay.
Any other questions, sir?
No.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Yes. Attorney Marcus,
Yes, sir.
are you aware of Article 1B D in 1B1D, I should say, that any non-conforming building or structure to be strengthened, restored, or replaced, however, no portion of an existing building or structure that is non-conforming as to setback shall have the portion of the building structure within the setback roofed over, enclosed, extended, expanded, or altered in any vertical or horizontal direction.
Without a variance, yes, that's why we're here, exactly. Yeah, and to say, because it's a notch within the existing foundation, years ago, variances weren't even required, but because nowadays, if you change the vertical as well as the horizontal, you need to get a variance, so we're aware of that. Yeah. That is correct.
Any questions for the applicant, sir?
I'm just not understanding what the hardship is as far as the property owner is concerned.
Well, the hardship is the fact that there are three aspects of a hardship. One is that the unique shape of a property. This property is too narrow for the zone that's been superimposed on it after it was created. So again, if there should be a 200-foot wide lot, but when they made this the R80 zone, and they said that the R80 zone requires 200 feet, right away, we couldn't have the 50 feet on either side. So the house became non-conforming when they adopted zoning. So that is considered to be a hardship. That's an upzoning and a change from when the house was constructed. That's one issue. The other issue, of course, is to look, the statute says if a lot is uniquely shaped. Well, this is uniquely shaped because A, it's too narrow, but to get 80,000 square feet, they made it a long rectangle. But in doing that, they left a very small buildable area. So what we show here is a rectangle within the rectangle, which is the 50-foot setback from either side. And the house currently exceeds it on both sides. And that's normally considered a hardship because it's not created by the homeowner himself. So anyone who would do any work on this house, minor like this is, would need a variance because the house is so non-conforming and the lot's not conforming. So basically, there is very little work you can do on a property. And this is, as I say, it's 14 by 16 feet. That's pretty minor, but the hardship is that the zoning was superimposed on a property that couldn't conform in the first place. That's really a hardship.
Commissioner?
I think more of a comment.
Yes, sir.
It seems like even though this is an R80, the dimensions are consistent with an R60, and the setbacks of 30 feet, if this was an R60 zone, that would be in conformity, it seems.
Absolutely.
There's a question I had. It's 153.53 feet across?
Yeah, it would make it, if it were a 60,000 square foot lot,
Yeah.
we'd be perfect. It goes back to Larry's question, that it's just, somebody didn't think about it. Well, you never do. I mean, you take whole neighborhoods and you make it a zone, and you don't look at the individual houses. But anybody who said, I'm gonna make this an R80 zone, you'd have to have your head examined to say, well, right away, it's not conforming. Well, guess what? The house next door is also non-conforming. And I didn't look on the other side, but my guess is I drive down Wiskaneer, most of those houses are non-conforming. I think that a good part of that street is non-conforming. And I do drive down there because I'm fortunate to have a brother who lives down the road, just off of Wiskaneer. And as it says, I look at the houses as I go by, they're just not R80 zones. I mean, it's a great idea, but it doesn't work.
Any further questions?
No, just the cottage 28A, that's part of this parcel, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe that's a pre-existing non-conforming. It's been there for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I had another question.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason you can't build back if there's a desire for more space?
That's what it is.
You've got a deck off the back of the house. Is there a reason you can't go to the rear of the property? Is there something there that you can't go over, a septic?
Septic.
Septic's
Yeah, the
in the back.
septic is directly behind the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the septic plus the fields are all directly behind.
So if we were to build on and move the deck back, we'd have septic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd run into this.
Mr. Friends, let's say the deck wasn't there. How far behind the deck is the septic?
Oh, I
The
don't know the
fields,
exact.
I did not look at your address, sorry about that.
Uh,
Septic,
I don't know, I know it's close, it's very close to the house, but I don't know the exact footage.
okay.
Say
So-
10 feet maybe.
Is it the septic fields or tank?
The tank, and then the fields go directly sideways. They actually don't go backwards, they go to the right,
So the tank is directly
behind the house.
west of the deck.
If west is behind the house.
West is behind that.
Yes.
Does that come forward? Mind drawing that in roughly?
What was that?
You don't have to be exact.
Yeah, just,
Do me a favor and draw that, just draw in the tank and then where the fields are if you can. It doesn't have to be exact.
So I would say the tank would be roughly here,
Okay.
and then from what I was told, the fields go across.
Okay.
in that
Oh, the
direction.
galleys run that way.
Yes, I'm not mistaken.
I think that's a fairly old system, I don't think it's new. Do you have any knowledge of
I
when that
don't.
septic went in?
No, not off the top of my head. I just know the tank is right behind the house and the field go horizontal. That's why you can't kind of go back.
Thank you very much. I just have a few short questions. All right, so the lot, you got 153.53 across. Okay, 50 on each side would leave you 53.53, right, to work with in the middle and still be in the setbacks?
Correct.
My question was, if it was possible, and it really goes to the vice chairman's question, could you possibly maybe thin that out and take a section of the deck, or you really can't do it because you're still gonna need a variance on it. So if that deck's there, and I'd like to ask Mr. Lally a question, I think you can build an addition right up to the tank,
No,
almost.
at least 5 feet off the corner. of the
So
site.
5 feet.
Yeah, it's gotta be 5.
Do you know the width of your deck, sir? The
width of it,
The width of the.
Straight out. You come out your back deck, how far is that?
10, 15 feet maybe?
Well, if the addition, if the rectangle is 14 by 16, the length of that line, the depth, the width of the deck has to be at least 16 feet.
Okay, 16 feet.
Okay, but the depth of it is what? I can't read that little number.
Looks
You
like
think-
16 by 20 approximately, or 16.
Yeah.
So you come out your back deck, it's 16 out?
Yeah, 16 out. and then the
16
width.
feet out by 20 feet.
Yeah, the width of the house.
Okay. I have a question for you, Mr. Marcus. Is this, you did explain the hardships, is this an intensification of a pre-existing non-conforming? If not, why not?
An intensification as opposed to an expansion?
Kinda, sort of the same, aren't they?
No.
Okay, explain the difference, sir.
No, in law, they've said that, you know, that there's it's a nuance, the difference between an intensification and an expansion. Let me tell you, traditionally, that's commercial. And I've never seen it really in a residential, that question raised.
Okay.
Because of any commercial. So you got a gas station convenience store in a residential neighborhood, because it was built in the 1940s, like we used to have gas. And you want to expand the gas station convenience store. So that's an expansion, okay. But if you wanted not to expand the footprint of the store, but you wanted to take the pump island out that was built in the 60s and put in a modern pump island that you build in 2025, that would be an intensification, because you're going to take a non-conforming use and you're going to intensify it. You're gonna supercharge it.
Thank you, sir.
But I've never really heard that asked in residential, but
It
it's
was
a good
just
question.
a question.
It's a
Thank
good
you very
question.
much for the explanation. I appreciate it.
I gotta think about that the rest of the night, but it's a good question.
Any follow-ups?
No, from me.
Any follow-ups, sir?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
What about extra space on the north side, is in the front? Is that a problem?
It doesn't work in the layout of the house. I mean, the problem is that this, again, what are you proposing to do in the 14 by 16 foot space?
I was hoping to bump out the kitchen and living space. But if you went forward,
If you put it on the other
The
side
north
of the house.
side is, that's the bedrooms on that side, or what are we looking at over there? The side the driveway comes in on.
oh, we can't go that way anyways because of it's too close to the property line as well.
Well, no,
Oh,
this
He's
corner
talking-
here would
He's talking
fit
about the
in.
alcove.
Like, if you wanted to put this
Oh, that's-
over here,
that's where the
would
well
fit.
is.
There's
Yeah,
a well there.
There's a well there.
Okay, there's a well there.
Yeah, it's a well tank.
You can't width
And,
well.
and that's where the service from the house comes in as well.
That's the well.
So the well
Okay.
and the electrical service.
All right.
So the well is the northeast corner.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that helps us when we have this, because
Yeah.
we're always questioning why
Yeah.
the decision to go this way instead of a way that's conforming.
Mr. Franz, would you mind if I ask you one last question,
No
sir?
problem.
Okay, so you gave me the dimensions of the deck.
Yes, sir.
How far back is the septic to clean out?
I
The
said,
tank?
I said
About 10?
roughly 10 feet,
Roughly 10? Okay.
maybe less. I don't know. I wish I didn't know to measure it. I just know it was directly behind.
It's a
what I was
guesstimate.
told. Yeah.
It's close, okay. It's 10 feet. Thank you very much, thank you. Any further questions? Any further questions? Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the application. Hearing none. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to the application. Hearing none. Attorney Marcus, you have the final concluding remarks, sir.
No, as I said, between you and me, if you guys haven't covered all the issues in your questions, I can't think of any more myself. But hopefully, you'll see fit to grant it. It's a minor modification to the house, and as I say, it's not gonna impact the neighborhood in any negative way. And all the questions you asked, I talked to his friends about when he was in the office. I said, the first thing the commission's gonna wanna know is there any other way you can do this? And the fact of the matter is, we have the septic and the well, and it just, this is the only spot. And it's, I don't think, asking too much to allow a slight modification to the kitchen and the areas that they live in.
So it sounds like it's the only spot in terms of the functionality.
That's true.
Well, you could add space elsewhere, but if your goal is to expand the functioning of the kitchen, then
I agree.
that's where the kitchen is.
So that's it. Thank you for your time.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that really it's pre-existing non-conforming and the shape of the property because of the front width, is that what you're stating?
Oh, yeah, that's clear. I mean, it's the width of the property that creates the whole problem.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Any last questions before we close the public hearing? Last questions before we close the public hearing? All right,
I didn't do as well as the guy in front of me, but
you did great, sir. Thank you very much.
Continuation is a single word, it's much easier.
At this time, I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing on application Z-25-21, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Moving on to our third application. Our third application, do you have this? Hold on one second. Do you have this?
no.
Okay, moving on to our third application. Our third application of the public hearings is 42 Berkshire Drive, application Z-25-22. Mr. Gordon Howes for Ann and Ryan Lansing. This is a request for variance 3.5, and that's a 6-foot structure to the front lot line. The required dimension is 20 feet, proposed dimension is 12 feet, variance requested would be 6 feet, and that is regulation 3.5. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us about your appeal.
Gordon Hallis Construction, for Ryan and Lansing.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals again, sir.
Thank you. So our application is to extend a project that we already started by 6 feet on the garage level side. And the reason for this is, if you look, open up the survey, and you open up the plans for the project, when we initially started the project, we anticipated to have 20 feet of garage space in order to fit a car in there. When we began the process of putting in the foundation, we had quite a bit of ledge that was not able to be removed without compromising the above structure, which is the pool. This current project is a pool house with a garage below and a small studio in between there. The reason why we are building this project is because the driveway on
Thank you for coming.
the driveway on 42 Berkshire Drive up to the residence is very, very steep, and they've had a couple of incidents where they actually almost slid off their driveway in their vehicles, and could have had some serious consequences. So they decided to build this garage down here, since they had the space, in order to be able to park somewhere in the wintertime, because they have a very hard time getting up to driving in the winter. So that was the purpose of the project. And so as we started building this thing, we came upon a lot of issues trying to get this into where it was designed to be. So this 6-foot variance allows us to get a car in the lower level of this project. And so that's why we're here for the variance.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Mr. Secretary, do you have any correspondence to read into the record, sir?
You could take this copy back. This is Chad Nearing, 17 Longview Drive, Brookfield, Connecticut, January 31st, 2025. Responding to Lansing 42 Berkshire Road ZBA application. Dear Chairman Donnelly and board members, I am the neighbor to the south of the Lansing garage. I oppose this variance application for the following reasons. 1, the original variance granted should have provided plenty of opportunity to build a proper garage. This is a very large piece of property, and another garage could easily be built somewhere on the property to park cars if needed. Also, the pool could have been emptied, proper ledge removal employed, and a proper depth garage could have been built. It appears from the zoning documents uploaded on Viewpoint that there have not been any plans or elevations included in this application pertaining to what this building may look like if approved. This is unsettling. 3, the documents filed for the ZBA appear to be in error due to the property having 2 front yards, and this application references a distance to the Berkshire front yard, not the Longview front yard. 4, this appears to be a self-imposed hardship. Please reference the Viewpoint permit documents. On page A2, the building section shows a shallow garage. This appears to have been the design intent since the documents were filed. 5, a 6-foot increase of volume towards Longview will create unsafe sightlines from existing my driveway at 17 Longview driveway, and also the driveway to the north of the proposal. 6, if a 6-foot addition is built on the front of this garage, it will prohibit cars from being able to park in the driveway and would likely add to street parking, which is already an issue in the shores in general, but also in the vicinity of this proposal. 7, it also appears that the garage has been built taller than what was originally designed and allowed in the zone. Please reference the permit drawing A2. The finished cabana floor is much higher than the 4 inches called out on the documents to the pool deck. This, in turn, has created a height issue. I believe that the ZBA or ZEO should review the building to ensure that it conforms with the town regulations. This height change greatly affects the volume of this structure and makes it a much more imposing structure. Thank you for reviewing the above. Sincerely, Chad Nearing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. This time, I'd like to ask if there's any questions for the applicant from the members.
I'm unclear about a couple things, probably my confusion here, but the 12 feet runs from this line on Longview Road to this property line. I'm not clear what
Mr. Howe,
where the 12-foot setback is exactly.
would you like to explain that, sir?
The 12-foot setback?
Yeah.
I had a question on that as well,
I
because
mean,
required dimensions
there's a
20.
line here that says, that's sort of 2/3 of the way back in the garage that says 20-foot setback.
It's not 12 foot, it's 12 inches.
Oh, yeah, he's got 12
I'm
inches.
assuming it meant 12 feet, but even though it's.
No, he's going 20 feet back 12 inches, so 19 feet is how much of a variance, but he had previously asked for 6. Or previous asked for more.
I'm unclear. So you're saying the proposed dimension is actually 12 inches,
Yes,
in fact? Right, so that's a 19-foot variance request, right?
There was a variance already granted on this property,
Right,
Right,
front
yeah.
yard setback.
yeah, there was one on that.
By-
I remember that.
And the variance was for what?
For the front yard setback by Mr. Nearing, came before the
By my
commission,
old one.
or my old, a couple of years ago.
So 20 feet was, at the time, a variance that was accepted?
20 was required. I don't recall what the original.
I don't have a copy of
was.
the last one. Last time it came in front of us, I did. I don't happen to have a copy of that. The
Yeah.
prior variance. Do you remember
I
that one,
don't-
sir?
Yeah, I don't have that either.
You want to explain it one more time, Fran, please?
20, the required front yard setback, because according to the regulations, Longview and Berkshire are both front yards according to the zoning regulations.
Right.
So the front yard is twice, 20-foot setback from the property line to the structure.
Did the prior one have 3.4 without 3.b in it? Or it didn't need that?
I don't know.
Because of the 2 front yards?
Yeah, I don't recall.
Would it be needed on this?
For an accessory structure in the front yard, yeah.
It would be needed. Do we have the ability to add that, or would they have to?
It may have been approved already under the old
I
variance.
have to double check that.
Yeah, I think it was already approved, because it's all one property now.
It is one property.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that, I'm just not 100% positive.
Yeah, so it's really considered the backyard, but because it abuts on 2 streets.
Right.
Because it's it's probably the largest property on the shores, because of it's the way it's shaped. But the front of the property, when 17 Longview was enveloped, enclosed with 42, it all became one as 42 Berkshire Drive. That's, and a matter of fact, even the Eversource has the same address for that. So I don't think it's 2 front yards, but
well, the zoning regulations call for those kind of properties. If they're on 2 streets,
That's,
that is 2 front yards.
that's 3.4.
So you're required to have 20-foot setback on both,
Yeah, that's-
for an R7.
That's gotta be where that 20 comes from.
So whether we're thinking about it one way or the other doesn't matter, it actually is 2 front yards.
So we don't know what the previous
That one I
variance.
forgot to bring with me, I'm not sure, if we weren't 100% positive, could we add 3.4 alpha 3B, or, it would have to be renoticed.
Or continue it to the next meeting.
And then find out. Okay. Do we want to ask the further questions on it now?
so I had,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
no, I have some responses for Chad, which I did speak to him as well, before the meeting. And I also took some pictures of some of his concerns for, which I can show you here, just to give you guys an idea, if you haven't been out to the property, so you can see what's going on. We're in the middle of the project. It's not something we tried to do in the middle of the project, it's get a variance. But the whole idea of them even continuing to build this was to have a garage, because they have the issue of
I think you said school buses or something. last time.
driving and driving up the driveway and all that kind of stuff. So it's really a concern for them more than it is with space. They don't need the space as much as they need they would like to have a functional garage.
I have a, Christian restaurant?
What's the current depth of the new garage?
So the current depth is 13 feet right now.
That's 13.
So I measured their car is 17 feet 5 inches. So So you need about a foot more, or a foot and a half more. I allowed for about a foot, almost 2 feet, so that you could pull in and shut the garage. You know, if we go 6 feet. We can only go 6 foot variance because then you have the street line
Right away.
right away. So yes, that's. So you can't go any further than that. You actually can go 7, but we kept it back 1 foot just to be on the safe side.
And the existing structure, the house, the current house, does that have a garage already?
It does.
On the other side, right?
Yeah.
And so their issue is in the wintertime with a slippery driveway.
Yes. Yeah. And they have they can't park on the road during the wintertime. So that's the whole idea from the beginning, 2 years ago, when Chad went before this board, was to get a garage built so that they can have somewhere to park their cars. If you've ever been on that property, especially where this garage is being built, it's all on a hill.
Yep, been there.
Yeah, so you understand as far as the elevations go and things like
Yep.
that. So, some of the other concerns he has with space and height and all that, it's gonna be in compliance with the zoning as it was approved. So, you know, initially, before we even came for this 6 foot variance that we're seeking at this time.
A difficult choice in the original foundation and footing excavation to have found a ledge.
Yeah, so I had, and at the January meeting, I had mentioned that I had 2 blasters that were going to come in and maybe they could blast. But the houses are very close together. The property lines are too close together, so it was not advised that we blast, as well as the pool is only 10 feet from the structure. So the pool sits up here, and so what I did was, and I tried my hardest, and that's why it's taken so long to build this project, is I had a driller come in and he drilled in, and then we were able to hammer with an excavator to get as close as to the pool as possible and deep enough that the structure would fit into the
Makes you a
property.
little nervous, huh? Chip
Well,
around that
sure,
ledge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chad was concerned too, so I mean, I have a good relationship with Chad, so it's not, but I understand he wants to make sure this is done right as well.
So, at that process of chipping and footings and so on, maybe that was the time to come in front of the board and get a variance. If your depths were already predetermined at that point.
Yeah, we actually stopped the project for 4 months to try to decide whether we were going to continue the project or not. And then we decided, the homeowner and I decided that, you know what, we'll see how the foundation comes. Maybe we can put the car sideways because it's a double garage. We'll try to make it so it works that way. And it just, by the time we got the 12 inches concrete, I mean, this thing will.
Yeah, I noticed this,
You know,
the thickness of the concrete.
It's
A
a
little
lot
bit of
more
steel
than
on that wall back there.
So I had a lot of engineering on that as well, and went back to the engineering as well. And we're just, so we're between a rock and a hard place here, really,
No
to try to make it,
Like a rock in the street.
Rock in the
Yeah.
street.
And it's a nice structure. I mean, I'll show you some. I just want to show you what's going on right now, so if you haven't seen it yet, you can kind of see what we've gotten so far. This
That looks familiar.
Yeah, this was from before, and then this is where, now what I did was, today I had my guys, just so you guys can get a visual, just to see where that 6 feet would be. I kind of built a kind of little sketch kind of thing, just so you guys can kind of see visually what that 6 feet would look like on a building.
Well, hold that, look, that one's important, that one, thank you, sir.
Is that plywood structure actually 6 feet or 4 feet?
It's 6 feet out, there's a little space there.
Okay,
I didn't wanna,
looks like a sheet of plywood. to me.
yeah, I didn't wanna go crazy.
Yep,
You know, I was just trying to give you guys an idea, it was today in the rain we were doing this.
I saw all the lumber inside.
So we just kind of, just to kind of give you guys a visual of what we're trying to accomplish here. And then, you know, from just to, you know, quarrel any things, this is from Chad's bottom of the stairs to his house, looking that way, looking north. And this one is at the top of his driveway, looking north. And then just what it looks like from the street view, you know, a couple of things there, just to kind of give you guys some heads up. And
Thank you very much.
if you didn't see that or not. Maybe we'll get to the side.
I'm good.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Mr. Howes, when I saw the original application from a few months ago and the documents that came with it, and then I looked at this, and I know there was a discussion about the slope and how that was, the average slope, how that was measured and factored into the building height and the 20-foot limit for an R7 zone.
Right.
What parts of this application are different from the last one? I think I might have missed.
From the last, when we didn't have a plan. We didn't have a structural plan to show you what it would look like. There was no plan on that. We did have a site plan, so this is the same site plan. But we didn't have any architectural plans to see what it looked like. And it's not going all the way to the top of it's just going one level. It's just for over the garage so that you can fit a garage car in there. So that's really the.
Kind of like you just laid it out with the boards.
Correct, correct. I'll hand you this stuff just for you guys they're just responses to Chad's letter.
Okay.
Because he seems like he's,
Yeah. We can read them into the record if you'd like.
right,
sir.
that would be great. I'll just pass these
Oh,
out.
that's, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, you don't need this one.
You don't want to read it?
Is it two responses or it's all the same? Okay, so
That's
it's a
just
copy.
one.
It's a copy for everybody.
Whatever works. I just thought it would be handy if
Thank
you
you,
guys
sir.
are discussing it and had more questions.
Could I ask one more thing before? we
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I remember there, just to address some of the questions from the last meeting, there was a point about a 900 square foot limit and.
That was a
height
question
limit.
I was about to ask.
Yes.
Were those were approved by the zoning commission as part of it, like they recognized those?
No, it's approved by the building, by the whole application. It has to be, it has to conform with a separate structure. It has to be 900 square feet or less.
Yeah, I have.
So it will when it's finished. This doesn't affect the square footage for that.
It's not the footprint, it's the entire square footage of the building. You got 3 floors there.
Yeah, I did.
It's not footprint, it's
No.
square footage.
No, I know, it's square footage of usable space, correct?
I did speak to Fran on
It's
that, if you
in-
don't mind me interrupting.
Yeah, okay.
Fran, remember when we were going over the square footage and the 3 levels?
Yeah, we base it off the footprint of the building. We don't go off to all the square
You
footage.
don't go off all the square
No,
footage, okay.
no, just
So it's
based on
off the footprint of the building.
Off the footprint.
And he, what's the footprint?
We're actually less than.
Isn't it 800 or something?
Yeah, our footprint is actually less than it was, we had to, because of the ledge, we had to build it 2 feet narrower, and we're actually lower than what it was on the plan, which Fran will get from CCA, our surveyor. He'll get a updated, as-built for that, so it will be in compliance with it, so I'm not worried about that, because I know we're lower and we're narrower. Because we couldn't do it with the ledge, so that's another reason, so.
I had another question. Building height is incorrectly calculated.
That was the next one I was gonna ask.
I know I mentioned this the last time.
Yeah, it's
In the
from the
last
average
meeting.
height, right?
Right.
And-
correct.
And on here, it's listed at 19'6".
Correct.
And I explained how a railing on a deck is considered a parapet. And with a parapet height, you go to the top of the parapet to measure the building height.
Right.
So you can't have a railing on your rooftop deck, or you have to ask for a height variance.
I understand.
That was the
Because,
question I was
because in, for an accessory use structure in your zone, you're only allowed 20 feet,
Right.
not 30 as in the application.
Yeah.
You're only allowed 20.
I-
So you should be asking for a height variance.
Yeah, that's, what was that exact height?
Yeah, but that's,
From the
but
average?
see, that's the original plan that we had from the building department.
Mhm.
And CCA is doing a new survey to show you the correct height. It will be when we go for a CO, we will show them that from CCA's survey, that it complies with the 20-foot height.
So you're
Including
saying the
the
average
railing?
grade is higher
Correct.
than what's listed on here on the elevation view?
The what?
This view here, this elevation here, you're saying that this is not the right line?
No, that's the right line, but the building is shorter.
You made the building shorter.
I did, yeah,
So from that average grade to the top of the parapet or the rail,
correct.
it's not gonna be any lot more than 20 feet.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
I had CCA go out there and verify, but they just didn't make a plan.
I gotta say, I'm uncomfortable with not having the correct information in front of me.
Well, I can, Mr. Lally, I don't know what's gonna happen or whatever, but if we did happen to approve something and that wasn't correct, he'd have to come back in front of us, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't sign off on it either, he wouldn't get a CO.
Okay.
Okay. I have just one final question. Everybody asked all the ones I have. So what you're saying, basically, from everything that I heard here, the ledge is a hardship and safety because of the ice and everything on the other driveway, so you wanted to be able to use that, which is, I guess, easier and safer to get to. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's,
I got one.
yes, sir.
The other question I had was, did you consider making it a carport and not fully enclosing it?
We,
And
Just
that
an
way,
overhang.
and even if you just had the overhang.
You'd
and
still need a
didn't-
variance.
You'd still need the variance,
Right.
right?
yeah. We tried every which way to try to figure out something that would be, function, but also be safe for them.
Mhm.
That's why it took us about 4.5 months to try to kind of figure out, are we gonna blast, are we going to, what can we do here to make it so that we don't create more issues as well, especially for the neighbors as well, we hammered for about 6 weeks, so we try to be cognizant of everybody around.
I'm a little out of order. Would you mind if I read your responses? I'm the secretary. Read your
Sure,
response to the
absolutely.
record. Mr. Secretary.
This is from House Associates, February 24th, 2025, in response to Chad Nearing. So Chad had said, he made a point, the original variance granted should have provided plenty of opportunity to build a proper garage. This is a very large piece of property, and another garage could easily be built somewhere on the property to park cars if needed. Also, the pool could have been emptied. Proper ledge removal employed and a proper depth garage could have been built. And the reply is that there was no other area available. He also said, it appears that the zoning documents uploaded on Viewpoint, that there have not been any plans or elevations included in this application pertaining to what this building may look like if approved. This is unsettling. And the reply is that there's a plan included in the application. Point 3, the documents filed for the ZBA appear to be in error due to the property having 2 front yards, and this application references a distance to the Berkshire front yard, not the Longview front yard. Reply is that the property abuts on 2 streets, but the entire property is considered 42 Berkshire Drive. Point 4, this appears to be a self-imposed hardship. Please reference the Viewpoint permit documents. On page A2, the building section shows a shallow garage. This appears to have been the design intent since the documents were filed. And the reply is that the proposed plan showed a 17 front to back clearance. We were only able to get 13 feet because of significant ledge. We seek 19 feet total to fit a 17.5 length vehicle inside the garage from front to back. Point 5, a 6-foot increase of volume towards Longview Drive will create unsafe sight lines from exiting my driveway at 17 Longview driveway, and also the driveway to the north of the proposal. The reply, so pictures, does not impede on sight lines in either direction. See photos provided. Point 6, if a 6-foot addition is built on the front of this garage, it will prohibit cars from being able to park in the driveway and likely add to street parking, which is already an issue in the shores in general, but also the vicinity of this proposal. And the reply is that cars can fit in the driveway since there is 20 feet to curb from the proposed addition. Point 7, it also appears that the garage has been built taller than what was originally designed and allowed in the zone. Please reference the permit drawing A2. The finished cabana floor is much higher than the 4 inches called out in the documents to the pool deck. This in turn has created a height issue. I believe that the ZBA or ZEO should review the building to ensure it conforms with town regulations. This height change greatly affects the volume of this structure and makes it a much more imposing structure. And the final reply is that the structure is smaller than the plan that was approved, and interior measurements also comply with the 900 square foot allowance, and also complies with, or will comply with, the height restriction of 20 feet average grade height. CCA site plan A2 survey will be updated shortly for zoning office records.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I do have one more question, please, sir. I just wanted to be exact here on the application. So we have the required dimension says 20 feet. You got 12 inches here. Is that supposed to be 12 feet and 6 feet? And then if I add the two together, I'm only at 18. How does that math work, sir? So what will you be back? I mean, it says 12 inches here. Proposed dimension is 12 foot. So are you looking for 19? Is that what it is, as you read this, Fran, or is that?
We're looking from, the existing structure is in compliance with the current application, building permit application, and approved by the zoning and wetlands and everything else.
Mhm.
We're asking for 6 feet towards the, basically, it's gonna be almost no setback within the 20-foot setback that is on the property itself.
So really, the variance requested is, he's asking for 19?
Well, it
Fran?
looks like.
That's what it sounds like.
Looks like there was a previous variance granted.
Yeah, I have some
There
issues with that, I
was. So
want to
the-
look at it.
The previous must have been to reduce the 20 feet to 13 feet. No, I'm sorry, the variance would have been to reduce 20 to 7, right? Because that means now we're going
Yeah, he's
to,
asking for
you're
another
adding
6.
additional 6 feet,
Right,
which
to the
reduces
prior
the
one.
setback to basically a foot.
Mhm.
So the prior one must have been a 13 foot rather,
Yeah, I'd like to,
request, but the problem is we don't have that data.
yeah.
So it's a little hard to, for me anyway, to
I would-
make a decision about this in the absence of
Yep.
a little clearer data about this.
Mr. Law, I have a question for you. Would we be better off, I mean, we have all this information here with the exception of that one piece of information, which is needed. Would we be better off closing it and then, if we had to continue it when we're in deliberations and then find that information, or leave it open?
I would leave it open and make a motion to continue to the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
I would like to ask him to provide accurate information on the building height too.
Okay.
So that at least we'll have it, a record that he is going to comply with the building height. I mean, I believe you, but
Yeah, no, that's.
we need to have a copy in the record that shows the correct height.
Right.
and if we leave it open, we can always accept more information in, so.
He can't get a CO if he's not in compliance.
Correct.
Right.
So what he states at this board, and
That's it.
if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, they will deny him a CO.
And
So
then
he-
they'd have to come back.
Right, his word is as good as a CO is.
Right, and that's, well, that's why I'm saying it. I don't have a problem with CCA getting a as-built now, but we're not quite done yet, but I
Right.
mean, but then, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
The problem is you're incurring a cost for the Ryans to do it twice. And, you know, I'm here representing them instead of an attorney. Just
My
to try to
biggest
help.
concern is the
you know.
prior variance and these numbers here,
Right.
and if we're not 100% sure.
Yeah, and I apologize, if these numbers are, I
No,
don't,
they may be correct, but we have to
Okay.
look and see, just like Mr. Briggs said, it might be that the other one was down to 7, you're asking for another 6, and it really is 12 inches more that you're asking from what the prior one is. It's just we don't have that piece of information right here in front of us. Would you be opposed if we continue to?
no, and I understand I understand the confusion or the unclearness, and I'm okay with that.
Okay,
I
we don't have to do it that way, we can just make a motion.
Make a motion to continue the next meeting.
So you're okay with that, sir?
Yes, I am, and then we can, you know, if there's other information that you guys need.
Well, really, if you have a copy of the old variance, that's
I
really,
just-
We'll
should
get
tell
it.
us everything we need
I
to
can get it for
know.
everybody.
No, we'll get it. I think I had it on the old one, but I don't have it on the new one. Okay, now. Everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to take a motion to continue application Z-25-22 until our next meeting, which I believe is June 2nd?
Yes, June 2nd,
June 2nd,
Second.
please.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
2nd.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Okay, we'll get that information, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The secretary, Mr.
I'm stepping down.
Secretary. Yes, the secretary is back.
You did a very good job.
Is it Nick Zoning? Ron, come on.
You had to read along. All right,
Chairman,
Bringing the crazy.
absolutely.
Motion for a 5-minute recess?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye. 5 minutes. We'll be back in about 8:07, 8:08. Sound good?
No more than that.
You're reseated. I don't even think we have to make a motion. We'll be quick.
Oh, yeah. It's white, and the other one.
Make sure we're still good here. Okay.
How've you been, Elijah?
Hmm?
How've you been?
It's been a week.
It's only Monday.
I know. And then I was at I've been at my track meet since 2 o'clock. So, but I was so cold and rained through 3 jackets.
Oh my
So
God.
I had to go home and change. And got over here as fast as I could. And then I have to do it again tomorrow.
Where'd you have to go?
That's a homie, but it was senior night, so couldn't leave. But the boys meet tonight and then the girls meets tomorrow.
My youngest played soccer on the travel team, and I can remember being on the field in late November, early
Oh,
December.
jeez.
Him, like, I was praying he was gonna miss the goal. So we didn't
Go
have
home.
to go on to the next. Oh, I'm so sorry, but
Normally it would have moved me, but it's supposed to rain every day
Yeah.
on Thursday this week. So I was just like, let's just do it. Get it all.
builds character.
Yeah. The crazy part is when I got there and set up, I was sweating. It was great. It was like 70 degrees and everything. Then it started raining and it was windy. and
Temperature drops, your body temperature drops.
Yeah.
What year did you
I
go?
literally was wearing 3 raincoats.
Right through them.
Yep.
Could have been playing in Buffalo.
Yeah.
When did you guys start last year?
Green Bay, the fans shovel the stadium, don't they?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Before the Giants had a field, my dad used to take me to the Yale Bowl for the Giants games.
Oh, I remember when they were
I can
there.
remember being so cold as a little kid there.
Yeah,
I bet.
yeah, that was in the 70s.
Early 70s.
Yeah.
Everybody ready? All right, it's 8:05, we're gonna call the meeting back to order, and note for the record, Secretary Hewling is here. All right, moving on to our final application. Thank you very much for your patience. Our next application is application Z-25-23, that is 80 Obtuse Hill, Andrew and Lee Emery. Request for variance, it's 1.6.b and 3.4.alpha.3.b. And that is replacement of existing non-conforming 841 square foot barn with a 240 square foot shed. Could the applicant or proponent of the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record? Tell us about your appeal in detail, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Andrew Emery, I'm the owner of one of the owners.
Well-
We have 2 Hill Road.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals, sir.
Thank you, nice to see you again, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm here to answer any questions you have. We have an existing, sadly, very old barn that's cost prohibitive to repair, unfortunately, despite lots of people visiting and giving us bids and so on and so forth. So we came to the conclusion that it would be better to replace it with a shed and not a garage. So the footprint of the barn, as you'll see from the map, I'm sorry I didn't bring them forward with the maps, but I think that was included in our documentation. But it's a corner lot, so we have Obtuse Hill Road North. Actually, that's not correctly said, Obtuse Road North.
And
So-
Obtuse.
And Obtuse Hill Road, thank you. Right away with corner lot, we've got a variance situation. So the barn itself is right on the property line. And what we're asking for a variance from, Fran's been very helpful with setbacks and all our million questions, because we're rookies to the process. The shed that we're going to put in the footprint is going to be set back. It's basically half the size of the existing barn, both from height and a total square footage. More than half total square footage. But in terms of the footprint, it's going to be set back by almost half the distance, going from the setback line of the road all the way back to where the shed faces Obtuse Road North, if I've explained that right. So imagine this is.
Would it help if I brought it up on the?
Imagine this is the barn, and this is Obtuse Road North. We're going back about half the distance with the size of because the shed is a fraction of the size of the barn. So it's gonna naturally, and that's the reason for the size of the variance that we're asking for, because of the setback provision is 50 feet, right? Is that-
Correct. They were requesting 33.
So, right, so we're requesting the difference between that and where the property line is, so. Yeah, and that's it, we're using, the structure we're gonna put there is the barnyard, if anybody's heard of the, so it would be an attractive color in keeping with, with all the aesthetics that are there. In fact, it'll improve sight lines for people that zoom up to the, to the end of the road at that intersection. It's a hardship because of the location and the corner lot. And there's really nowhere else that's, for for what its intended purpose is going to be. There's nowhere else in the property that we can really kind of situate that without additional variances being required. So that's really all I have to say about it. Unless you have questions. Thank you, sir. I should be.
Would anybody mind if I went first on this?
Go right ahead.
Did you know? Thank you very, very much for allowing me to go out to the property. So I did draw a little map.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask you, do I have your permission? Could I bring it
Please,
up on
yeah.
the board? Let's see if the technology's working.
I mean, I have a copy of that large map on my phone.
Let's see. Does it look like your barn?
That's the one.
All right.
Is that your vehicle?
Yeah, no. All right, I just have a couple of quick questions. Come forward, I just want to verify my chicken scratch drawing out there when I was out there at the house. So the barn is right here, okay? You got this right sideline here on the Rochester North side, heading over here. You got a bunch of foot going back. And then I'm going to compliment you that you have a beautiful fenced-in garden there, right? It's kind of a little bit farther back.
Yeah.
The garden, it doesn't show it on that, but it's I kind of hand drew it in there, so
Correct.
semi kind of accurate.
It's raised garden beds
Okay.
with a
Okay. And then as I understand, so the septic is right there, the septic tank's there, and then the
That's
fields
right.
are
That's
more or
right.
less right there?
Yeah, they're just no, that's
That's pretty close?
That's pretty close.
Okay, so everything looks pretty good on there? Okay, and then there's pine trees, maple trees, pretty good coverage back over there.
And all the trees that you see there are there now, a little bigger, but that's all.
I can show you on my map, but is it possible, and you'll have to let me know if you do, you see where that red car is there?
Yes.
And as I understand it, somewhere, I guess around the edge of this door,
That's right.
going back is roughly
That's
where the
correct.
show's gonna. What is the issue, or is it possible, just move it back farther so that it is within the required 50-foot dimension setback? So roughly, you know, this is up in the air, but the other side of this front end of this red car, it's over here, somewhere over there. Why isn't that possible, sir?
I think we kind of run out of room with the driveway that's, so there's actually, I can't see it from this photograph, but there's actually, it's in the family of birch trees. It's, see something blue sticking out there, it's on the sort of that sideline, but literally right around the corner.
That's a
there, there's
garbage
big-
can right there.
Yeah, so in that footprint, I believe that tree would interfere with that idea.
But besides the driveway,
Standard trees.
the driveway and any trees, it's relatively flat between here and going back to there?
It is.
It is, okay.
Yeah,
And then,
this is driveway.
yeah, this whole front end, this is basically the property line, right? The
Correct.
very front edge of that. So the dimension, I think it's on there. What's the dimension of the barn right there? It's really small, I can't read that.
841.
No, from here, right here,
Yep.
to here, that depth, I'll call it.
That's,
Jeez. I think it's like 30 feet or something, right? It's pretty long between here and there. I guesstimate is good enough.
I want to see, it's
I went out there and-
28 feet.
Okay, I'm close.
28
So,
feet.
so you're 28 feet there, okay? So if you were, you went back another 22, which would put you on the other side of this red car and it's relatively flat, is that a possibility? And if it's not, please explain why. So the other side of this red car. And that's before where your beautiful garden is, that doesn't show on here, it's
Yeah,
before there.
the only reason there would be an issue is because we have that
Straight?
standard. Yeah, it's a weird, it's like a arch, so it's not just one tree, it's a stem kind of goes up.
But if that tree
Trunks-
wasn't there and it was relatively flat, you could put it there?
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then one more time, you stated in the beginning, your exact hardships in detail. Please.
Well, so corner lots, the only reason for the variant, well, specific to the hardship part,
Yes, the hardship, like of the land, something. What's your hardship, sir?
well, we'd rather not have to, we'd rather not have to replace the barn, it's just cost prohibitive to fix that. $100,000 is the most competitive quote we got for that. So,
So financial.
financial is the primary issue, yeah, because I'd rather not take it down, quite frankly. And there's nowhere else on the property to do that for what it's gonna be intended for, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Fine, yep.
Any other commissioners have any questions for them?
No, it's just, I had exactly the same question as you. Why not move it back towards the garden? It seemed like there's plenty of room there.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like it could be moved for it to be compliant.
Yeah,
and
I might have a photograph here that might
be
Sure.
more
show
involved
what I was talking about.
to do that, but it could be done.
So if there were trees there, you would just say remove the trees in order to not have to grant a variance, is that the thinking?
I'm gonna go through everybody's questions first. Mrs. Secretary.
On the map you provided, in the area that you guys are talking about moving the shed, you have, it's listed as existing iron pin or pipe. Would that be in the way of putting
That's
the
a
shed
good
there?
question.
Because
That's a
if
good
we're
question.
talking about going inside the setback, it looks like, and you're saying this,
Yeah, so if you,
so these marks right here. So if you're moving, if the barn is here and the dotted lines are essentially a setback, so if you move this in here, you've got what's listed as existing pipe or pin on your, from your map key. Do you know what these would be right
Yeah,
here?
that and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
those
It says existing pin or pipe,
no, I think, no, I'll tell you what those are.
I think there was, wasn't there a rock wall somewhere back over there?
That's
Okay.
what it is. Yeah, those represent some good
Vaguely
question.
remember rock wall.
The solid, as I understand it, the pipe, is a little open, not filled in circle.
Okay.
And
didn't know
then
if
a
there
dark
were-
dot represents a proposed iron pin or pipe
Okay, so
on
this,
the map.
this,
So
this
those
rock wall.
those represent stone.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, there's no impediment to, other than the tree, which I was about to try to circulate a photograph.
Sure.
of,
Would
Which we'd hate
pull it
to
up
tear
real
that
quick?
out.
Any other questions, Mrs. Secretary?
No.
Commissioner Rushmeyer.
but-
I'm kind of sad that the barn's coming down.
Me too, trust me. I've talked to everybody.
And then there's a conversation about, if the barn's coming down, then you should be able to move it back within compliance.
So that gives you kind of a, yes, I can get it. There you go. I can give you the back end. So you have trees coming
That's
down.
right behind, kind of where the red car is. It's on the other side of that.
Yeah, it's right, if you go straight back from where that blue garbage can is right there.
Tell me when to stop. I know I'm on the car, but I'm just going with distance.
Yeah, so if you're looking straight at the roof of the red car, that's what I'm talking about, but it's much bigger now.
Okay,
Those are
gotcha.
twice the size.
Thank you,
So
sir.
they reach out over,
That's an old
they
photo.
reach out over the driveway where you're proposing the shed. Yeah.
Well,
You put the arrow on the left there.
Now, you can see the tree I'm talking about, it's much smaller now. That's it right
Is it
there.
Right there.
Yeah,
By the roof.
yes, it goes right
And
there.
it's, I mean, it's, yeah, at least 3 times the size. It reaches out over the road.
So if you take down the barn, then zoning regulations say you need to move it back into compliance, to meet all setbacks. If you renovate that existing footprint, you wouldn't need to come before us, because it's already in non-conforming. But as soon as you knock it down, you need to be in conforming with the next structure.
Right.
And the hardship, there really is no hardship, because there's plenty of setback.
Okay.
Any further questions? Do you have any further questions?
No.
Further questions? Any questions?
Did you have any other intentions for maybe using the slab that it's on, or something that was,
It's not on a slab.
no?
No.
It's old school on
Oh,
stone and
yeah.
rock, right?
It's old
It's a-
school with
It's a 1790s barn.
They literally put a
foundation-
rock on the ground and
That's
put
correct.
a timber on top of it and
That's an
went up.
earthen structure underneath the floorboards in the barn. There's running wood notched with, just the way you would see in the ceiling structure. They constructed the floor the same way, so you have running beams. And then you have very large beams around the outer edges. They're, as big as the vertical 6 beams that are in there supporting the roof. So, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
No. That's what it is.
Oh, who knows? Yeah.
You
You know the
should allow
secretary
to
is seated,
store that
right?
barn.
The secretary.
It would be
Excuse us.
gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great, but the beam that faces the backyard going this way is 6 inches out of whack.
And
It's bowed
I've
because they
watched
put
them straighten those beams, and it takes years to
Yep.
do that. They have
Yep.
to jack
You
it
gotta
up
get-
a half inch at a time, and
Yeah.
it'll settle back in, but it's a big deal. But
Yeah, they put a modern garage door in the back, and I think it just threw everything out of whack. And the beam it's a little hairy to look at it. 6 inches bowed this way. You can see the outside of the building is bowed on the back side because of that. But
Yep.
I can't get anybody to put a roof on it, because they walk in and kind of see what I see, and I'm not gonna put anybody in harm's way for that. So it's just a matter of time. And so anyway, well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
Thank you for listening to my appeal.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Anything further on that, sir?
No, so I'm
Okay.
gonna formally hear something back from the committee.
Oh, yeah, please stay. Yeah, please stay, if you'd like to. We're gonna go into closed deliberations when we're done with everything, and we'll come to a decision this evening, if you'd like. Absolutely. I still have some more to do on this. All right, you're good, you're
I'm
okay.
excused otherwise?
No, not yet. We're not.
Oh, okay.
At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this application. Hearing none. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this application. Hearing none. Mr. Emery, you have the final concluding remarks, sir. Anything you'd like to say?
Nothing else I'd like to say. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. This time, I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing on application Z-25-23, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do now, I'll explain it to everybody, is we're gonna go into closed deliberations. We basically speak about the applications amongst ourselves. We ask you, please don't speak or anything during our discussion, and we'll come to a decision this evening, more than likely. And if you'd like, you can stay, or you can contact the land use office in the morning. So, thank you very much. All right. Here's number 2. All right. I'd like to take a motion to approve application Z-25-21, that is 28 Whiskey Road, Pamela Drucker of Cohen and Wolf PC for Dominic Friends, request for variance 3.5. That is a 16-foot structure to the left sideline. Required dimension is 50 feet. Proposed dimension is 34 feet. The variance requested is 16 feet, and that is section 3.5. I'd like to take a motion to approve this submitted, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. You're on this one. Okay. Discussion.
I think I'd like to see an as-built for the septic. And my question comes because the conversation about I was told doesn't give me any dimensions. So, and I think that if, depending on where the septic is, there's options for an addition.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing because of his deck width, and then the tank is 10 feet beyond that. You only need, Fran, it's 10 feet,
10 feet
correct?
setback.
The building. So if he has, what was the depth on that? He said 16 feet. He's got 16 feet before the 10 feet start.
It depends on where the tank is and it depends on where the fields are. So we're just speculating.
So are you're looking for more information?
Correct.
Okay. How does everybody feel about that?
Well, I never opposed to more information, but, I mean, my general inclination on this is to grant it, because it just seems like, in terms of functionality, the already existing non-conforming feature that's a product of the shape of the land and the fact that it was.
Yeah, the 153.53 feet really should be 200. Take
Right.
50 off each side, it's got 53.3 to work with.
Right, and the fact that, that the house was constructed and laid out before there were zoning requirements that would restrict what could be done with it. And it does seem to me in terms of functionality that, I mean, while we might be able to find some other place to add on, but it wouldn't necessarily work in terms of what they're trying to achieve within the structure of the house itself. And it does, I mean, it does overall aesthetically seem to be the best place to add something to the house because it completes the shape. So it does seem to me a reasonable request overall, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, the only thing I was thinking after was whether or not if it were a little bit shorter and wasn't extending beyond the existing setback. So if instead of being
You mean kind of the
roughly
footprint of what
16,
the house is
instead
on
of being,
the,
say, 16
on the southern
foot,
side,
yeah, instead of being,
right here?
yeah, instead of being this long, if it was a little
longer.
bit shorter, it
Oh.
would maintain the existing setback,
Making it shorter.
whether that's viable or not.
I got you. Commissioner Neal.
I'd say I'm inclined to support the application because I think they're dealing with the R60 dimensions, and I agree with Commissioner Briggs. I think the placement of that addition is appropriate, and even though they're two separate structures, that one that's in front of it, that's, how many feet from the property line? It's very close to the property line. That's already out of conformity, 16 feet. In effect, granting this variance isn't doing much to change the aesthetic of the property. If you have something that's already in front of it, that's already so close to the line. But I would also agree with Commissioner Rushmeyer that it would be good to have additional information about the actual location of that septic, because it seems like, it's not like it's a.
They might have room.
They might have a bit of room.
Yeah, I had a question. That number is too small for me again. This is not a full-size map. What is the length going south? Can anybody read that number? See this length going, yeah, I can't. You see this length? I mean, it can't be that much. Is it 10, 12, 14 feet? Or I really can't tell from this because it's not full scale. What is it from here to here, your best guesstimate? Like, I looked at the deck, you know, I didn't pull the tape measure out, and look at, you know, he's got the deck with the screen and porch there, and the back doors on this back side. I mean, it didn't seem more than 10, 12 feet deep to
Right.
me.
Doesn't look like more than that.
Okay, that's a guesstimate. I tend to agree with Commissioner Rushmeyer, because if that's, what he's asking, what he's looking to put in there already is 10 feet. He's got 16 feet to work with out of a section of the deck there if we look at the septic as-built, and I just think there's other possibilities. That's what I think. I prefer to continue the closed deliberations till next time when we have the septic as-built. If anybody doesn't mind.
This was 16 by 14.
Yeah, he's 16 by 14, so he's probably, where's his 16 and where's his 14?
Well,
So
14
he's 14
out.
wide and
Yeah,
16 heading
16,
south?
right.
So he's 16 heading south.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 16-foot deck there, and whatever, I mean, if it's, I'd like to look at the septic as-built, I think.
It would also help if we had more detail about the interior of the house.
Mm.
I mean, because,
As far as access,
well, access and functionality, because we could say, well, you could put something here, but it may not, it may be moot point.
The problem is we
in terms of what
closed the
they're trying to
public,
achieve.
we closed the public hearing, so we're not gonna get any more info on that.
Yeah,
In,
that's the
in
problem.
closed deliberations, we can get stuff from
Right,
the
right,
town, from the
right,
attorney.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
that space there where you wanted to put the addition,
Mm.
there is a short deck, right? Or am I thinking
No.
of the wrong?
if you go on the left side of his house, the south side of the house, he has kind of a screened-in porch, and there's a door on the back side of it with a couple of steps going down right where he wants to put this addition.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a blanky square spot. Actually, there was a, right on the side of the house, there was a radon system there, if you saw it, it was poking out the side,
Okay.
right where he wants to put that addition.
Okay.
That's what I remember seeing there. I'd like to get, anybody have any problem if we just continued the closed deliberations in order to get the septic as-built?
No, I don't have a problem with that. Would it be possible, if, let's say, if we decline without prejudice, could he come back with more detail?
Have that info, well, the only thing is, well, yeah, it's start all over. Then you can ask whatever you want. That's a possibility too.
Mm, no. Well, as I said, my inclination would be to approve it, but I don't have a problem with continuation to get more information, so.
How do you feel, sir?
continuing is fine with me. I always like more information.
Commissioner Russell? Okay. Would you like to make that motion, sir?
Yeah, Alan, I don't know if you can do that because you closed the public hearing.
Yeah, we close the public
Well,
hearing. We'd have to,
we're only gonna
we'd have to decline without prejudice, I would think.
Yeah.
We can't do that, huh? We can't continue
I don't think so.
Deliberations?
I think Tom is going to.
we can't ask him on that.
We can't because we can't accept more information.
Well, not from him,
Right,
from the town
on
side.
the town
You're
side.
saying we can't,
I don't know.
You're just
I'd
not
have to check
100%
with the
sure?
town. I'd
I
have to
thought
check
we
with
could,
the
but
town.
I'm not 100%
Maybe
sure.
not possibly.
Well, yeah, it seems like it wouldn't make logical sense because the applicant should be the one providing the information, it seems to me, rather than our having a kind of a workaround to go to the town to get information that
So if
is
you can't do
currently.
that, your preference would be maybe deny without prejudice if it happened to come to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would either approve or I would just say deny without prejudice, and then they could come back with some of the information we don't have. That would be my thought.
Agreed.
Okay, everybody ready to vote? All right. All those in favor of approving application Z-25-21, that is, Marcus Pamela Drucker for the Dominic Perez residence, and that is a structure to the left sideline. Required dimension is, I'll go start with present. Present dimension is 36.7, required dimension is 50 feet, proposed dimension is 34 feet, variance requested is 16 feet, and that is section 3.5. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay without prejudice.
Nick.
It's name without prejudice. Mr. Lawley can explain that to you, sir, if you have any questions.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Mr. Lawley can explain that to you, the name without prejudice.
Is that tonight or? I don't know.
So Lawley, you got a second to explain that to him? You wanna do it?
Yeah, I'll leave Shell second.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Franks. Okay. Application number 3, Commissioner Nia, you are on this one, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'd like to take a motion to approve Z-25-22. Applicant agent is Hallis Associates LLC, and that is the Ann and Ryan Lansing residence. That is a required dimension of 20 feet, proposed dimension of 12 inches. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It's a question mark. Variance requested 6 feet, zoning regulation 3.5. I'd like to take a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Once again. This is the one.
Somebody did.
We did.
I'll take
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take
Do I have a
responsibility.
second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Yeah, we did not continue this one.
No.
I'm not buying the driveway issue in the wintertime.
The safety.
Yeah, I mean, a million people in Brookfield have a downhill driveway. And so I'm not buying a hardship there. Aesthetically, this 6 foot doesn't change anything in the neighborhood.
Not a problem
Everybody's
with a
right up
sight
against the
line,
road,
yeah.
it's not affecting a sight line or anything.
It's in harmony.
It's very difficult for me to understand how you could be in the excavating point of the project, realize you hit ledge, and not come back to the board for the variance.
Right then and
So
there.
you basically rolled the dice and figured, hey, we'll give it a shot. You knew the car wasn't gonna fit in there. And I think the conversation was more about, well, it's okay, we have a garage. Now they're talking about a hardship, it's slippery, so.
And the ledge.
And the ledge, so, again, I would almost be inclined of approving the 6 foot, because I just don't think it really hurts the neighborhood at all. And it's within the town setback for the highway department and the roads and all of those things, so.
What about the surety on the numbers? Do we think that what Commissioner Briggs said, which was the old one was probably brought it down to 7, they're requesting 6, and this 12 inches is really it?
He has to meet all the building codes, or he doesn't get a CO. So if he's not telling the truth, they're not gonna give him a CO, and he's gonna be tearing it down
Gotcha.
to get a CO. So,
That's interesting.
Commissioner O'Neill?
I had the same thoughts as Commissioner Rushmeyer, and I don't think we got exact clarity on that issue about we did get clarity about the square footage of the whole building versus just the plot,
it's the footprint.
just the footprint. I think the height issue is still a little bit concerning, or confusing to me, I don't really understand.
From the average height to the top of the parapet or the railing that's there?
Yeah.
He said it's 20, it has to be 20, it's going to be 20, and we have to take him.
And then.
If the height of the roof was at 20 feet, that's the end of the discussion. But if you put a railing on it, it becomes a parapet. And now the height becomes plus railing.
Yeah.
So,
Probably 4 feet.
but
if you got a
he's
railing
he's
for 3 feet.
stating to us in open discussion that it was within that 20-foot height.
Yeah.
And CCA is gonna do a survey to show us that in the completion, so. And.
So it has to be correct.
He's gotta, the building department has to approve it at that point.
Does that imply we should also extend, can we continue this to the next meeting, or would it have to be denied?
We're in the same
And I would
situation as
outright-
if we had to.
If you
If
had
you
to.
were to approve it, what do you see as the hardship, ledge?
I guess.
We could,
I have it written down that we continued.
We did continue this one.
Okay,
He was okay with that.
okay.
All right.
Oh,
You know, I was wondering at the very beginning, and then nobody said anything, that's why I wanted to thank you very, very much for saying. This has been continued.
It's very good to have someone with a memory.
Well, somebody writing it down.
That's why she's so perfect. Thank you very much.
It's on the video, if anybody wants to watch it.
No, I thought so, and nobody said anything, so that's why we ran
Is
into
there
it.
an option of proposing
Okay.
they get a shorter car?
Yeah, we don't have to continue that discussion at all because it's been continued.
Okay, so I'll just,
Fiat
I'll
would
get
fit.
rid of that motion if
What's
you
that?
want.
It's a Fiat.
Yeah, inside that, it's 13 feet, right, it's got enough? Okay, here we go. We're on to our last one, all right? Let's get it here. And this one, the secretary, Mr. Ewing is on this next application. All right. I would like to take a motion to approve application Z-25-23, that's 80 Obtuse Hill Road, Andrew and Leah Emery residents, request for variance 1.6.bravo and 3.4.alpha.3.b. That is a replacement of an existing non-conforming 841 square foot barn with a 240 square foot shed. And we'll just read the dimensions out on this. Required dimension is 50 feet. Proposed dimension is 17 feet. Variance requested is 13 feet. I'd like to take a motion to approve as submitted, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Discussion. Go first, Mr. Secretary.
I think Commissioner Rushman pretty much said that you can do it.
So do we go over that?
It's a pre-existing non-conforming building. If you take it down, you have to either put something back up in the exact same footprint
Or comply with the
or
setbacks.
comply with the setback. Those are your only choices.
So one could replace the structure as is, and then
Repair the barn.
so not if you,
Yeah,
You have to
careful
tear
how
it
you
down.
word it. It would have to be almost worded as a repair.
Yeah, you have to word it as a repair.
well, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's important, unfortunately, that the bond preservation is so prohibitive. But I don't see it as a hardship in this circumstance, because the shed could be placed within the setbacks. So that eliminates the hardship issue. So I would have to say no to this request.
I agree with you.
Okay, that's good.
It's also in the front yard.
3.4 alpha 3B. It's in the front yard. Absolutely is. There's two roads there. I agree and I concur with everybody here. I went out and I walked it, I looked at it. We did ask all the questions on it. I believe there are options on it. I asked exactly what the hardships were on it, and I didn't want to put any words in his mouth. It was kind of financial, moving it back to a rough location. You can't take anything financial into consideration, and that's the law. So I'm inclined to disapprove as well. Is everybody ready to vote?
Well, I would just
Yes, sir.
make one other comment, that even if we decline without, or deny without prejudice, they're even moving into the areas that we were talking about, still in the front yard.
Still in the front yard, yeah.
So it would still need variance.
But he just need 3.4 alpha 3B.
I agree.
Right.
Just stating that for the record.
No, I understand
Variance
that.
would still be required for what we have been discussing.
Yes. Yeah, there's two roads. You got obtuse north and
Right.
obtuse. So,
We don't want to be obtuse.
is there any further discussion? Everybody ready to vote? Ready to vote, sir? Yeah, ready to vote, sir? Yes. Okay. All those in favor of approving application Z-25-23, that is the Andrew and the Emery residence, 80 Obtuse Hill Road, and that is a required dimension of 50 feet, proposed dimension of 17 feet. variance requested is 33 feet, and that is Article 1.1.6.b and 3.4.alpha.3b, say aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. The motion fails. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for coming in, sir. If you have any questions, you can speak to Mr. Vala. Okay.
I have a good question.
Yes.
Is that without prejudice or with?
Just tonight.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Old business, there is none. New business, there is none. Tabled items, draft fee schedule. I'd like to speak to this. After our last meeting on it and the motion that we passed, that the vice chairman made and that we all passed unanimously, that was brought up to the land use office and moved it up to the first selectman's office and moved it to Attorney Beecher. I talked to Attorney Beecher on the phone today. Didn't really have a chance to go over and discuss it back and forth because there had a lot of other stuff going on, and he suggested that we continue this to the June 2nd, 2025 meeting. That's exactly what's going on with that. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Is everybody, did that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
unfortunate.
All right, we'll continue that. Now onto the fun one. Informal discussion. I went to, and I gotta tell everybody how I did this, just for the heck of it, because I like to watch meetings, because I don't sleep. I decided to go to the New Milford ZBA meeting. And prior to that, I was reading a couple of years of their minutes, and I kept seeing this name on there that said James Corbett. Well, when I started in the alarm business in 1983, the guy who worked for my uncle was a Jimmy Corbett. And I didn't know until I called him on the phone because I haven't spoken to him in years, but he's been on the New Milford Zoning Board of Appeals for 14 years.
Runs in the family.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So anyways, it was really cool. I went over, I watched their meeting in person. They do some things that are the same as us and some things that are different. The one thing that they do the same that I think we all do a great job is they run it fundamentally fair. Fair, honest, polite, respectful, just like we do on our meetings. And other things are a little bit different than us. I got a chance to stay there until the end of the meeting. I met the whole board, the chairman and stuff. One question I did ask them that I saw on their minutes for the last couple of years, I said, gee whiz, you guys approve every single payment to Hearst Media? Absolutely. Every bill that comes into us, it's in the meetings if it's owed, and we approve it. And they've been doing it, I guess, forever. But that was one of the things that was really interesting. I just figured I'd bring it up to everybody because it's kind of cool to see an old friend. And this guy, he was one of my teachers in the alarm business. So it was nice to see him when I was 17 and had hair. That's when I started. Okay, does anybody?
Are you saying that did any implications for how we might do things somewhat differently, or?
Oh, no, I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just because I saw that in all their meetings. And then I talked to the chairman afterwards, and Jimmy, I call him Jimmy, Corbett, and the vice chairman, all of them there. I was like, gee whiz, you guys approve every single bill that comes in? He goes, absolutely. It's on every agenda. We look at it, we pay it, and it's usually to Hertz Media, it's legal bills and stuff. They approve them all. They've been doing it forever. Which I thought was kind of interesting. That was one of the things that they do different than what we do.
Well, and you had that disagreement in regard to the land use issue about seeking information about where we should publish.
Well, that is the one that is in the process that the Attorney Beecher said that I guess they're going through it. Good. Went from Landers to the selectman's office to the selectman, and he brought it to Attorney Beecher. And I happened to call Attorney Beecher on the phone today because I wanted to go over it with him. And he said, yes, I've just been really busy, I haven't had a chance, to go over it. My suggestion would be to you, and you can tell everybody, I said, continue it to the next meeting, because he'll let me know by next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know whether you're thinking that maybe it would make sense for us to
Oh, approved bills or something?
Yeah, or whether that was.
Oh, that's something we can talk about. I don't know if we need to or not, but it's, yeah, it's a discussion. I thought it was interesting. They've done it
Yeah.
forever,
Mhm.
literally forever.
Mhm.
It's just been, it's
Mhm.
automatically on their agenda, and they look at everything,
Mhm.
and they approve it. Okay. Does anybody else have any informal discussion? Any informal discussion? Would you like to make your favorite motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.